Hey folks, welcome back to Canada's Boxing Channel. It's a late and very fall-like Sunday, September the 28th. I say very fall-like, it's been raining all day and it's getting dark early. Most of the leaves are off the trees. Winter's not too far around the corner, I'm afraid. Anyways, to boxing. I thought I would talk about an upcoming fight that's going to actually happen when I'm away on vacation. I will be down in California when this fight takes place, and I will be sort of, tending to this YouTube channel sporadically as I do when I'm on vacation. And the fight I want to talk about is Britain's Dave the White Rhino Allen against Russia/Canada's Arslanbeck Makhmudov, the Lion, as he is called by some. It's going to take place on October the 11th, I believe. I'm just going to double check that. And in the Sheffied Arena in Sheffield, UK, which will be sort of Dave Allen's homecoming. I know he's from Doncaster in the UK. Sheffield will be, relatively close. Put on by Eddie Hearn. Josh Padley's going to be on that card as well. And Leo Atang is going to be fighting on that card. So it could be a good card all round. But for the moment, let's talk about Dave Allen and Arslanbeck Makhmudov. Now, Makhmudov, as I've said on a number of other videos I've done featuring him, he has a career in Hollywood. Like, he is the archetype for a James Bond villain. He looks absolutely ferocious. And if boxing doesn't work out, or I guess it's kind of towards the end of his career in a way, he's 36 years old. He's 6'5" and a half. Like I say, he boxes now out of Montreal in Quebec. And he's a big lad. He usually steps into the ring somewhere in that 260-ish. And he looks absolutely terrifying. He had, or presently has rather, a 22 professional fights under his belt, of which he's won 20 and only lost 2. And in fact, until he took that first loss, which was against Ajit Kabayel, good heavens, I had a complete brain freeze there. On December the 23rd, 2023, he was being touted and hyped as somebody really, really very special. Ajit Kabayel made relatively short work of him. He stopped him in the 4th round. And in a way, even though Ajit Kabayel was a better known fighter by most, it was in some ways Ajit Kabayel's sort of introduction to the broader boxing public. And Ajit Kabayel made Makhmudov look very, very ordinary. And of course, that fight was in the Kingdom Arena in Riyadh, so there's a lot of eyeballs on it. Anyhow, Makhmudov was, I suppose some people would say he was exposed by Ajit Kabayel. But honestly, Ajit Kabayel is a great fighter. So was that so much of an exposure, or was it just like, hey, we didn't realize that Ajit Kabayel was this good? And Ajit Kabayel did what really, really good fighters do. He made Makhmudov look kind of ordinary. Well, Makhmudov had a fight 5 months later against Mijan Rovkanin. It was a second round KO. And I'm terrible with names. I really have a problem in pronunciation of some names. I do apologize. And then in 2024, so that sort of got his career back on, right? Second round KO, and okay, he lost to Kabayel. Got his career back on, and in 2024, in August the 17th, he met Guido Vianello. And it was also kind of blows hot and cold. And Vianello stopped Makhmudov in the 8th round of a 10-round contest. So, and then of course Vianello came unstuck against Richard Torrens Jr. So that's what I mean by blowing hot and cold. You don't know which Vianello is going to show up. Well, we're not really sure now which Makhmudov shows up, right? So anyways, after the Vianello loss in June of this year, Makhmudov has a first round TKO of Ricardo Brown, which was in Quebec City. So he lost, he had a good win, he lost, he had a good win. And, you know, it's a qualitative thing, right? He's rated number 31 in the world by BoxRec, although, as you know, ratings are all over the place. This is just reference point. He's rated as the 3rd best Russian boxer. 36 years of age, so it's got to be long in the tooth. I know boxers carry on longer than they used to, but still, 36 is a bit long in the tooth. But let's have a look at Makhmudov's best wins. In 2021, he beat Pavel Sauer. In 2022, he beat Marius Bach. And in 2022, also, he beat Carlos Takam. Now, Carlos Takam is a really tough dude. So he's got some good wins, and then he's got these losses. So what do we know about Makhmudov? He hits like a Mack truck. Not my own view. Not overly talented. You know, clearly, if he hits you, you'll know you've been hit, and he has boxed well, but he's unrefined. That's the word I'm going to use. A handful, but in the hands of a competent, skilled boxer, he should be manageable. That's my thinking. Let's have a little look at the White Rhino. The White Rhino, Dave Allen, much, much better known. At one time, contender. Now, spent most of his career, really, I would say, as a journeyman. And he's having what used to be called, and I hope it's still okay to call it, an Indian summer. He's having a bit of a renaissance. He's the younger man, even though he's been around a long time. He's only 33, but he's a 33-year-old with lots of miles on the clock, if you know what I'm saying. 24 wins, 7 losses, and 2 draws. Let's have a quick little look at Dave Allen. Let's go through his losses first, and it'll kind of tell you where he's stepped up and where he's run into trouble, right? In 2016, so this is what I mean, you know, the best part of 10 years ago, 9 years ago actually, but he lost a unanimous decision to Dillian Whyte. And this is a very different Dillian Whyte, of course, than the Dillian Whyte who allowed himself to be a punch bag for Moses Otama. In 2016, he was also stopped by Luis Ortiz. And Luis Ortiz, you know, I'd say Luis Ortiz might be the best fighter who never became a champion of this sort of modernish era. He was avoided by lots of people. Certainly he was getting the better of Deontay Wilder until Wilder's right hand intervened. In 2017, he lost to Lenroy Thomas. Then he suffered in 2018 a TKO against Tony Yoka. Now, Tony Yoka, of course, was a very high flyer. And then there were issues, which sort of sidetracked Tony Yoka. Tony Yoka, a very promising fellow, another Olympic gold medalist, right? Then we had a couple of retirements. These were not back to back. There was wins in between these. I'm just, he retired in 2019 against David Price. David Price, another fellow who was rated very, very highly. And people were talking about David Price as being the next best, thing, right? And then in 2023, he retired against Fraser Clark. And I think it's fair to say, without picking on Dave Allen, that Dave Allen Again, he blew hot and cold, right? I think it's fair to say if he had taken his career really seriously and really honed his talent and worked on his training, he probably would have had a better career than he's had. He's been a bit of a lazy Rhino, to be honest. Easy for me to say, sitting in my home here in front of a camera, but I'm not, I'm not sort of dumping on him. But I think that that's universally understood, that if he had trained harder and been more dedicated to the craft and the sport, he probably would have done better. He might well admit that himself if he was to be asked, because he's a very forthright, open and honest person who, incidentally, has got an excellent YouTube channel. His first fight as a pro was back in December 2012. That's going back some, right? At that time, Anthony Joshua was, in the Olympics. So he did really, really well, had a bunch of wins. And then in 2016, like I say, he met Dillian Whyte. Dillian Whyte was, of course, a much different version. I would say, looking through his wins, there's not a lot of names that really leap out to me as being top level wins. I would say his 2019 win over Lucas Brown, who at that time was 28-1, stopped him, knocked him out in the third round, was the best of Dave Allen's wins. You might disagree. I'm just looking at box record names and thinking, that was probably his high watermark, I would say. And then I think it's fair to say he was sort of like that journeyman who people were, gatekeeper-ish type fellow. Well, let's move forward to modern, current times. In December of 2024, he was put in as the selected guy to lose against Johnny Fisher. And Johnny Fisher was Matchroom's high-profile fellow, the next great thing, big following, big social media following, a big dad, big in all ways, lots of skin, and also big presence. And I believe he beat Johnny Fisher. Now, of course, he didn't get the nod. So what happened is it was in the Kingdom Arena. We all probably remember the fight. He dropped Johnny Fisher in, I think it was the 5th round. And he basically then won every round afterwards. Fisher may have picked one back up. It was a fight of two halves. But with a 10-8 round in it, me and most people that I speak to said that Johnny Fisher did enough to win. Dave Allen did enough to win. But the A-side fighter got the nod. Johnny Fisher was awarded split decision win. Didn't go down well. Dave Allen was sort of decent about it because he is fundamentally a decent guy. But then there was a big sort of, call for a rematch. And Johnny Fisher was, I'm going to be back. I was too nice about it. I'm going to knock him out. Yeah. Dave Allen said, look, you're going to make a mistake. I've got your number. You're just not experienced enough. I'm going to beat you. I'm going to lock you out. Dave Allen was right. Dropped him again in the 5th round. This time he went and closed the deal and put him out quite spectacularly. Face plant. There's this great picture of Johnny Fisher sort of, doing the belly flop dive and a towel in the air and all that sort of jazz. Dave Allen was just too much for Johnny Fisher. He had his number. He kind of owned him, actually. He owned him in the run-up. He owned him in a way that an older man who can own a younger man, a big brother kind of thing. He dominated him intellectually as well as, obviously, in the ring. And that brings us through to, that was May of this year, right? And that brings us through to now, where Dave Allen has selected from a list of fighters, Arslanbeck Makhmudov. Interestingly, of course, Eddie Hearn was Johnny Fisher's promoter. And as soon as Dave Allen beat Johnny Fisher, the shades of Don King, right, who always left with the winner, he offered Dave Allen a contract. So, almost stepping over the body of Johnny Fisher. It kind of is a bit harsh for me to say shades of Don King, but hey, if the shoe fits, right? And so here we are, Arslanbeck Makhmudov and Dave Allen, October the 11th in Sheffield. The bookies are picking it mostly even. I think we don't have prices yet in my jurisdiction, but from what I've seen worldwide, they're mostly even. I think ever so slight underdog, Dave Allen, and Dave Allen's been promoting this as like, oh yeah, you know, the guy's really dangerous. I picked a dangerous guy so that I would train because I have a weakness of taking it too easy. Dave Allen's a cunning, smart guy. Who do I want to win? Well, I don't really have a dog in the fight. It's a Brit versus a transplanted Russian Canadian. I would emotionally pick Dave Allen because having watched his YouTube channel a lot, I feel like I kind of like him, I kind of know him, sort of thing. He's a perennial underdog. I was going to say he's the older man, but of course he's the younger man. I would like Dave Allen to win. Do I think he will win against Arslanbeck Makhmudov? If he's trained properly, he's got all the tools in his toolbox. He's been in with a higher level of opposition. He probably has more nous about him. He should be able to handle Arslanbeck Makhmudov. He should be able to get a points win, I would think. He'll be the A-side fighter, home crowd advantage. I would go for Dave Allen to win on points. But if Makhmudov can unleash on him, Dave Allen, well, first of all, he has been known to give up. I don't think he would give up in front of his home crowd like this and all that sort of stuff. But he is stoppable. He's been stopped. Could be stopped again. So Makhmudov has the ability to beat Dave Allen by power. I think Dave Allen has the smarts, the edge, the ring IQ, the nous to be able to prevail. So I think Dave Allen will win. It's my best guess is that Dave Allen's going to win on points. I would like Dave Allen to win. If that makes me an unpatriotic Canadian, well, who gives a fuck? So I'll be cheering for Dave Allen. Hopefully I can get to see the fights when I'm away. But that's my take on it. I'm interested to know what your take is. Please leave your comments in the comments section. If you like the video, please like. If you would like to subscribe, you're watching this, that little subscribe button there is very lonely. Please press that and you are subscribed to the channel. You get to see all the channel content. Most importantly, have a fabulous day wherever in the world you are. Thanks for watching. Cheers. Bye-bye.